Graham, good to see you.
Hi, mate.
If we can start with team news, did everyone who was involved on Saturday at Orient come through okay?
Yeah, we've trained today, and everyone was out there who's part of the squad that day. So we're all in good shape.
How are those who missed out through the illness, in particular Tyreek?
Yeah, Tyreek's been back in training today, so I was just speaking to him at the end of the session, see how he felt. He said he's only just started coming back around to normality in the last 24 hours or so. So it was good to have him out on the training pitch, but we'll see how he recovers from that. He said he was quite down there really with the illness and everything. So unfortunately he had to miss the game, but he should be okay for the next one.
Anyone else you can welcome back who hasn't been involved in recent weeks?
No. I think Lewis, Penno, they're still a couple of weeks away, I think. We are where we are numbers wise. What's
Andy Cook's situation? As you can imagine, he's not been involved the last couple of weeks. Fans, of course, are asking us the question. What's going on there? He's
training. So obviously, a couple of weeks ago, it was he wasn't in. He'd been ill for a week, so I think it took him a few days to get around that. And then obviously the team, the squad was doing well, so we just continued what we had, and so he's trained today. As I think we had about 22 players out there today, so it was quite a strong squad.
Looking back on Leighton Orient, I know when we spoke after, it was all about the response. When we talked about previous defeats, you've always seen the response. I'm guessing you've seen that in training so far.
We just we spoke about it this morning. We had a meeting with the defenders, asked their thoughts, and like I said after the game, I think they're quite clear on what we do, how we should do it. So if the reason we stay consistent with how we play, how we defend, how we attack is so when we make mistakes or anything, it's easily identifiable by the players themselves, and we can make it go better next time and improve. And I think that's the case. I think the players are well aware of the standards they've set themselves. And when it doesn't go right and you make mistakes, we all feel it. Me, the players, the other staff, that we know we can do better. And if you know you can do better, then the only thing to do is do better. And we'll try and do that in the next game. But I know every time the players get challenged, either by us as a staff or by the opponents, stuff like that, we always try to find a solution to be successful. And I'm sure the squad will do that again.
Being a defender yourself, I'm sure it's, you can identify the mistakes, you can have a chat about it, you say this is what we expect. When you get out onto the pitch, how difficult is it to put that into practice?
Listen, the hardest thing in football is taking training ground performances and tactical ideas from the analysis suite onto the training pitch and then into the game where the heat is on, the pressure. The opponents can change from their perspective at any moment. So you have to adapt to what's going on, but still be true to what you are. So I think the pressure in football and all professional sports is replicating what you do under no pressure to when the pressure's on. And some people can do that, some people can't. That's why professionals are born, and that's where we have to be. So I think, but the players have done it in pressure situations, in pressure games, real volatile moments. So I don't see why we can't continue to do that. We've got a really good defensive record in comparison to the rest of the league. We still think we can be better, and that's what we've got to try and do.
And like you say, when we've looked at defeats in isolation, there has always been a response. The following game, I mean, for you as a manager, it must be, look, losing is part and parcel of football. I know you guys hate losing, but knowing you've got a game around the corner and knowing you've seen that response in your team already this season, that must be massive. Yeah,
I think we talk about character and personality a lot because it's important and it's for scenarios like this. So mid-game, if you're losing, you have the character and personality to take your game forward and get back in the game. But if it doesn't happen in that particular game, you still take it forward into the next, and you don't carry that sort of negative feeling, or you don't become defeatist in your mind. That's where your character is shown. And I think this group, out with any one individual. This group has shown that more often than not over a considerable amount of time, probably 18 months or so. So I think or at least in the last 12 months, I would say, without a shadow of a doubt, by the amount of results we've got. So, but whatever you prove in the past has to be constantly proven, and you have to continue to stand up to challenges. You will always have knockbacks. I think you're right, it is part and parcel of professional sport, losing. No one likes it, but it's how much are you willing to do to make sure it doesn't happen again, or you break down the percentages. And that's what we have to do. So I don't think anybody likes losing, but it's how you act and behave after that defeat to make sure that you're better next time to win a game of football. But then the opponent changes, the game changes, but we know how we want to play. We know from the past 12 months how successful that way of playing has been for us. So the convincing side of it doesn't, we still have to convince the players that they're good enough to do this and win. But actually how we play and get results, the results stand up on their own for that. So we have to go out and prove it again on Boxing Day.
And a big part of that, what you've been saying there, is the mentality of the group. We're speaking to Ibu, everyone's on the same page, like the mentality just to keep winning is so high. I know it's a collective effort and that's what you tell us, but how much hard work from you and Chris has gone into instilling that and keeping that at a consistent level?
Well, look, we ultimately we start the ball rolling. That's our job. You know, it's something static, and we start pushing, and we start cajoling, and we get people on board, and that's when you need results to sort of emphasise the work that you do, or the work that you're trying to get the players to do, really, ultimately. And but I think they see it in your behaviour, they see it in your emotions. We never take anything for granted. We want to win in training, so there's a lot of competitive stuff in training. So, and there's pictures all over my office of winning teams in small-sided competitions and that. So, I think everything that we do is geared around trying to be successful and try to win a game of football, because we've been in the game a long time, and we know ultimately that is the currency that the whole game survives on. So, or anyone within it, or any team within it, and. So, listen, you speak to any player, they all want to win. So it's just tapping into that, and it's how much they're willing to give to actually to make that commitment as well. So I think we obviously have a big part to play as manager and as management staff, and the coaches, but I've said it before, everybody that's involved around the first team or around our club can all help that happen. So I know the players. The players we had here already, the players we recruited, we've always looked at their history. We've spoke to them as well. We've tried to gauge what their hunger and desire is for their future, and if it's in line with winning and what we want to do, then it's great. But I think the supporters always want to win as well. You know what I mean? So that's why there's frustration if it doesn't happen and everything. But what I think we've done or managed to do here is, I think there's a latitude that the supporters give us to win. I think I don't think they ever question our desire to win. So then they're faithful with us when we don't win. Because they know our belief is there, our commitment is there, and that's just the same as what I try to showcase to my bosses. It's what my players try to showcase to me, that the will is always there. I think the will to win and the will to prepare to win is the big driving force behind any successful team, to be honest.
You saw with the fans in the away end, didn't you, after Orient, despite the result, that they're fully buying into that. You mentioned recruitment, and I guess that characteristic, that mentality, people buying in, that's obviously really important. January's around the corner. Are conversations already taking place, Graham, plans for January? Yeah,
of course, yeah. It's been going on for a few weeks now, so I don't think we're any closer really to making any inroads into actual recruitment, but we're closer in our ideas, and we're with communication we've had with several people. But look, as much as we're looking outside of Bradford for players who have the talent, the ability, and also that will there to win, I think they'll look at us as a club. I think that's a club that's trying everything it can to be successful. So that's a good place for me. That's how I see it. It's got to be a two-way street. So we've got to look at a player, and they've got to basically see a mirror image of what they want, and maybe something even more. Because I do believe that we're all individuals in this sport, but I think the brilliant thing about this game is, being part of something bigger actually helps you achieve anything that you couldn't achieve on your own, and that's what we've all got the hope for with being in football. That whatever I want to achieve as an individual, I can only do it being part of something bigger, and that's what we've got to sell to anybody who wants to come to us. But we've also got to respect ourselves and not beg people to come and join us. There's got to be a want from them as well. We don't want to sign anybody who's feels under duress to come here. That's not a good platform to start off with.
This time of year, obviously, it's really busy. Fixtures, training. Do you, the players, are you going to afford yourself any downtime on Christmas with the families at all?
Yeah, of course, yeah. I think it's look, we're in a highly pressurised job and sport, but we get enough time to spend time with our families. Look, certainly more as a player than a manager, I would suggest, because I've done both, and you get a lot more time as a player. But I think it's important to have downtime with your family. I think even we sort of manage our schedule right. So when we work at a great intensity, but we also have downtime and days for regeneration with the players. We don't overload them with stuff on their days off because we want them to relax, because it's important to have that off switch and then come in and you can fully commit to what you are. So Christmas Day is no different, but there is a responsibility on our side to be prepared for the next day. So all good professionals always carry that around with them at all times. But there's always times there's always time available, I should say, to have good times with the family. It's about you sort of boxing it off and making sure that's the case. But I know it's much harder for me as a manager to do that mentally, because basically your mind's always there, isn't it? And I know where I can get dragged to. But I think it's important for us to appreciate the support we get from our families as well.
Close to a sellout on Boxing Day, which will be great as ever. We always reflect, don't we, at this time of year? I mean, what would your message be to the fans based on the journey you've been on in 2025?
Now, look, we started talking about 2025 last week, and we had 3 games to go, and we lost one of them. So, that's why I don't like sort of talking about it in groups. We've still got a couple of games, but look, I think we're in an exciting time and an exciting place. That's what I feel. I feel that the supporters feel that as well, and that's what fills us all with good feeling that we want to win for ourselves, but there's so many people with us, and full house on Boxing Day. Great game, great support. What Valley Parade is like on a match day is sensational. So we thank everybody for their support, continued all the way through the difficult times, being there on the last day, all that sort of thing, and enjoying those times. But just let's look ahead with hope and belief, but understand that none of us are perfect. That's the thing. But I still think we can all be better, and that's got to be our challenge going forward. Okay, mate. Thank you.
You said you find it hard to find time to just switch off.
Yeah.
With the games coming so thick and fast, and you've got the analysis of the one that's just gone, how much time do you get to look at the next fixture before it happens?
Yeah, look, I can. We in English football, you have to be able to work quick because the games come around thick and fast. So if you need a week to prepare for a game, then you're going to be prepared for about half a season. And the rest of the time, it's 3 days, 2 days sometimes. So you have to have a way of working. You have to have people around you that work in conjunction with you and pick up the slack. And it's like it is a team. Everyone's got a cog. Everyone's a part of the cog, and it all makes it work. So we've got brilliant analysts here, that prepare stuff for us. The opposition, section up games, written reports, all that sort of thing, so we can go to different parts of the opposition and analyse them really quickly. So if you haven't got the time, if you've got 2 or 3 days in between a game, you can watch sections of games how they build, how they attack, all that sort of thing, and rather than go through a whole game or 3 or 4 games. So we've got great support on that side of it, and you need it, because the analysing one game in its entirety. Certainly the way I do it, I know I can turn a 90-minute game into 120 minutes of clips somehow. But we understand how much detail is in the game of football, but what we try to do is really dilute it for the players to real easy information for them. So we sift through a lot just to get what's really important. So, but it takes time to get the way of working, and with us being here for a couple of years now, the other staff have really, we sort of work in tandem really smoothly. So, we can turn a game around within 24 hours to analyse our previous game, and then within 24 hours we're ready for the next one.
I suppose one of the things that's really important in the way you work now is the data you get on the players. With the game so thick and fast, it makes it easier to say to a player, look, this is your data, I think you need a rest.
I think it's always a difficult conversation, but you need the data just to back up your opinion. Sometimes it is your opinion. Well, actually, most of the time, you do back your professional judgment, but it's much easier and better to actually have black and white information around there, around that scenario, to be able to communicate with the player, so he understands that it's for the betterment of the team first and foremost. It's for the betterment of him going forward. That he's durable for the whole 10-month season. But ultimately, there's some data that you can't, or there's some things that are not data, like their mindset, like how fresh they are in their mind and stuff like that. That's when it comes down to how you read their body language, the communication with them, how they train, all those sort of things. So there's so many aspects in the game of football that you have to sort of make judgment calls on. But I think over time you get to understand what each player is, what he looks like and sounds like and feels like when he's at his best and when he's below that. And sometimes it's just you can lead them into an improvement, sometimes taking them off to put them back on. And ultimately we've got, I believe, a really competitive squad. So sometimes it's just a matter of, we know the output our team needs to produce to win a game of football, and it's difficult for the same 11 players to do that. Look, it's all information is good, but some of it you can sort of push to the side and just bury down on the important bits. Okay, mate. Thank you.
I'm saying, Graham, obviously about the squad and the players who've not been playing regularly. I mean, I was going to ask you about Tom McIntyre.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind, obviously, he's the only loan player you've got currently on the books. I mean, is there a different scenario with him? Has he been to see you, or have you heard anything from his parent club, or is there any? Because he's not technically your player, is he?
No, but Tom came to see me about 3 weeks ago, and I've probably had 2 or 3 chats with him in the last 2 or 3 weeks. Great guy, brilliant professional, adaptable, can play in different positions. He's got really some strong talents in his possession side of it, how he reads the game. So he just wanted to ask me a few questions about how I saw him. And how he could prove himself to be in our team, and that's, I think, what a professional should be. When they're not in a team, he's got great support for the other teammates. He's really settled in so well. He's really popular amongst everybody, but he's still got that desire to play. But he's got it in the right way. He's asking the right questions, and then he's going out into the training pits to show us, what he can do. So, I think he's a really open character and personality, really mature, and so I still feel he can be of real good value to us as a club, and hopefully we can be for him as well.
I was going to say, is there a recall scenario in his?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, I think. I don't know the actual detail of that, to be honest, because it's not something I've looked at. But I think it has to be communicated between both clubs and obviously Tom himself.
You've not had an impression of it?
No, that's what I was just going to say. I've not. He's not given me any impression that he's looking to do that. I haven't given him an impression that I'm looking to do that either. So, that's where we are. I think he's fighting to get in the team. He's part of the matchday squad because I believe he can play in 2 or 3 positions for us. But I want him to I don't want to just have him here as some sort of utility player. I actually want to give him some value, as in like he can be in our starting team week in, week out. But ultimately, he's trying to break into a very good team.
I was going to say, we had a similar conversation about Kieran Kelly when you had this conversation, and he sort of worked on his game and he's got his chance. So the opportunity's there as well.
Yeah, look, it's really hard. It's a really hard scenario for me to be in because I really want to play more than 11 players. You know what I mean? Because I really like the lads. You know what I mean? I see them and I see each of them having value and seeing where they could help us win and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But ultimately, in my job, I have to pick 11 players and get that combination right. And but it's a weird conundrum that you have to live with, where you pick the 11 players and then you feel like you're letting all the other guys down. Listen, sometimes the players let themselves down and it's an easy decision, but a lot of the time it's really tough decisions for me. And but I like it when a player comes and asks the right questions and shows that he cares about being in the team, but in the right way. That he also understands that the team's in a good place and there's good players that he's competing with. But he's still got a desire to play. They're almost like the perfect scenario for me. So, when people, I read something a couple of weeks ago. Say, when people say, "Oh, I don't have any favourites," and there was some coach, I can't remember who it was, but they say, "I have favourites. They train well, they eat well, they respect their teammates, all that sort of thing." Like, yeah, that's actually, and I think Tom and several others fit that criteria. So. Look, and it's hard to we talk to them with value and with respect, but ultimately it's how they feel. And sometimes when they're not playing, I can't recreate that feeling of being in the first team. I mean, that's something that we just all have to live with.
And broadening that a bit, obviously talking loan players. I mean, last January you've brought in some very good loan players who had a big part to play in the second half of the season. I mean, is that very much a market that you think could be viable this time around? Yeah,
I think so. 100%. I think it's something we are looking into to get the right type of player and character and personality, because we saw the success we had last season and seasons before with loan players. So, obviously in the summer we looked at recruiting players to be with us, and we did that really well. So we didn't have the need really to add on to that, and probably didn't have the space, to be honest, to add on to that with more loan players. But I think this time of year, I think it's an opportunity. It's maybe a bit of a different scenario from the start of the season.
I was going to say, is it a little bit? Presumably, you can it's a quicker negotiation because the parent club aren't sort of thinking, well, we've got pre-season, we've got to have a look, see how we want to have a look at them first.
Yeah, well, if you look at us in the summer, we wanted to do a lot of our recruitment like before the pre-season started, so we could hit the ground running with the team. But a lot of the bigger clubs with the younger players, they won't let the younger players go out at that stage. They want to keep them through pre-season, go on tour with them and all this, and let them out really late. So we made the decision that we wanted to crack on with the season, and we wanted to get down to work. So ultimately, that's what we did. But you're right, at this stage of the season, it's a short window. There's a time frame on it. I think the Premier League clubs and the Championship clubs are up and running, so they don't need to hold on to younger players who are not in their first team. So the deals can happen much quicker. And I think, and ultimately at this stage, if you are bringing in loan players, you're not risk losing them halfway through the season, because when that opportunity is
it's a straight sprint.
It's a sprint to the end. So I think we might use that market a little bit more in January than we did in the summer, but that's more to circumstance than anything else.
We spoke before about relationships with clubs as well. We've seen successful loans here from clubs higher up, so presumably that you'd think they'd be more amenable to a request this time around, because they'd seen what you've done with their players before.
Yeah, I think that's important to have as a club, that you treat the players the right way, and our players, loan players, that we have a way of behaving as a club, that we look after people. But and certainly having success stories in the last few seasons with really easily identifiable players that have had good times here. I think it helps our argument, so to speak, or our case. But there's other good teams out there and good clubs that do the same thing. There's lots of loan players all over the place, so it's still a fierce market to compete in. But certainly having the evidence behind you is it just helps you feel more committed when you're actually speaking to a person. You're not making it up. It's actually real evidence there for people to enjoy the football. And listen, if any loan players come in January and enjoy the back part of the season as much as the ones from last year, then we're all in a good place.